Now, before we wrap up, I would just like to give each one of you the opportunity to add anything else to the conversation that you'd like. And Gavin, we'll start with you.
I think it's important that folks require the state of New York to be consistent in its regulatory message, or we're going to lose more manufacturing, we're going to lose more jobs, we're going to lose more taxes. It's really easy to pick on the power sector. Everybody loves to beat up whether it's a utility or a power generator. But at the beginning, I raised an issue that gets pushed off a lot. The sector I represent pays $1.5 billion to $1.7 billion in property taxes. They employ a lot of people. You want to close all these power plants, you better have another way to make up the tax revenue in upstate New York where there are not a lot of jobs. So that's a big thing we didn't talk about today. But to me, I want to move quickly with this transition, but I want to do it smartly. And I want to recognize that when you press on that balloon on one side, the balloon is going to pop on the other side. And that's an important factor for folks to realize. So I'm looking for regulatory consistency, practicality, and more reliability.
Yeah, I look at my membership, particularly our larger members who are multi-state or multinational. Almost every one of them has environmental policies in place, commitments to reducing energy usage and their carbon footprints. So they get it. I think there's no doubt that we understand the need for not just New York State, but the planet to become more carbon efficient and more mindful of all types of environmental impacts. And as Gavin said, the real issue for us here is the path forward. And the risk of doing things that are, actually have a net carbon impact and no economic value to the state is the risk. We think there's opportunities as we see the state making major investments in offshore wind and power transmission, et cetera. One of our goals is to see how New York State can capture as much of that, supply chain in New York State in ways that we maybe hadn't before, and make that an explicit, policy objective of the state. But the real key is you've got to do this smart. Mandating the elimination of power generation and fuel diversity isn't going to get us there, and it's going to have adverse impacts. It's going to impact everyone, not just business, but residents of New York State as well.
Anthony?
Yeah, couldn't agree more. They've signed on to a set of principles here. I think both Gavin Ipney and the Business Council of New York State, we would agree with most of them as well. But when we look at this, I think it is this balancing act, right? We talked about reliability can't be breached. This transition has to enhance the livelihood of New Yorkers, not harm them, right? We have to pursue these carbon emission strategies at the lowest possible cost. I think we'd all agree with that. And I really believe we have to have all options on the table for technology. You cannot pick winners and losers in 2019 in a law and pretend that that's going to carry your way to 2050. So I think those are things that we have to be cognizant of. We're all supportive of the goals, but how we get there is really what we want to make sure we have vigorous debate about right now, and getting there in the best way for all New Yorkers.
Thank you all. This concludes our discussion on the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. We hope you found it informative. I'd like to thank Anthony, Gavin, and Ken for their time and insight. Central Hudson will continue to host events on important issues impacting the residents of the Mid-Hudson Valley. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn for more information. Thank you for watching.